They thought Earth had fallen. No more transmissions. No beacon codes. No diplomatic distress. To the galactic concordance, this meant extinction. For most Deathworld-class planets, that was inevitable. But Sol 3 had been silent for too long, and silence unnerved the Corellian survey fleet. Their mandate was to confirm annihilation, not to interfere. Yet when their long-range scanners pinged unregulated power sources, spiking erratically like heartbeat seizures, they dispatched an observational team. Foreclosure. The Corellians descended with shimmering grace. 6 crystalline cruisers, matte black and sun-reflective, parked themselves in Earth's upper orbit like apathetic vultures. Protocol said this was likely a post-biological dead zone. But the scans? They said otherwise. "We're picking up heat signatures," reported Observation Unit 3's lead xenologist, Palette V, high variance. Patterned. Artificial in nature. Captain Cyrolf narrowed his 4 eyes. Civilization? Chaotic, Palette V replied, turning the screen. No consistency. One region is using nuclear steam propulsion. Another is running a coal-fired Zeppelin power grid. There's even a trebuchet launching microwaves. A microwave, what? But before anyone could clarify, the screen blipped. There, atop a jagged tower of broken rebar and moss-covered concrete, a bipedal figure emerged. Unarmored. Barefoot. Shirtless. Covered in strange tribal symbols, though one read "Live Laugh Yeet." The figure raised both arms. One held a gleaming metal tube. The other gripped what appeared to be a squawking poultry creature duct-taped to a megaphone. The feed caught a burst of sound. "Bring back the internet or we launch the ferrets." Cyrolf blinked. "Is that a threat?" Another Corellian officer leaned in. Translation software classifies it as aggressive humor. Possibly ceremonial. The Corellians were a species built on order, mathematical clarity, cultural precision, and universal etiquette. This was an affront to logic. They needed answers. They sent a team. 5 survey marines, armored in silicate nanoweave, landed near the ruins of what an old star map labeled Dallas. The air shimmered with heat and electrical noise. Their translator drones spun wildly, failing to lock onto any structured language. Instead, their channels were flooded with static. No. Memes. "Commander, I'm receiving 30 simultaneous broadcasts," said Scout 1. "Mostly, karaoke versions of Let It Go. One is just a cat screaming into a blender." Then came the first human. She arrived in a shopping cart modified into a war chariot, pulled by what appeared to be a shaved goat in sneakers. She wore sunglasses, a tattered bathrobe, and a necklace of Xbox controllers. Her weapon? A slingshot made from dental floss and bottle caps. "You got any Twinkies?" she asked, pulling to a stop. "We accept trade in batteries, memes, or trauma stories." Commander Drawl extended a scanner. "We are here to assess the biological and technological survivability of your people." The woman blinked. "Okay. But can it wait? We got a Who Screams Louder contest in 15. Behind her, drums pounded. Someone lit fireworks. A man in a shopping mall armor suit rode past on a unicycle screaming for Narnia. Scout 3's weapon powered up involuntarily. "No threat." Drawl snapped. "Hold your fire." He turned back to the woman. "We require your leadership cast. Elders. Strategists. Your governing AI, if any survives." She leaned in. "Oh honey," she said with a grin, "you're looking at M. Welcome to Wasteland HOA Sector 42. Another human emerged, tall, burned, wearing a cape made of stop signs. He carried a Nerf gun labeled the Equalizer and a water balloon launcher strapped to his back. "Steve," the woman called, "aliens want to talk." Steve grunted. "You folks here for peace, conquest, or just tourist selfies?" Drawl was silent for a moment. "Assessment." Steve spit into a bucket labeled rocket fuel. Do not drink. Well, tell your shipmaster this, Earth didn't die. It got weird. Governments fell. Wi-Fi broke. But people? We mutated. Not biologically, culturally. Our currency is chaos. Our politics are meme-based. We run on petty vengeance and pop culture references. Scout 2 checked the sensor again. Sir, they're everywhere. Indeed, more humans arrived. Dozens. All dressed in bizarre armor, pizza boxes, riot gear, deflated swimming pools. One had built a tank from a school bus. Another controlled a flock of trained pigeons that dropped stink bombs. The commander muttered, "This is a civilization of jesters." "No," said Pallet V quietly through comms. "They are Deathworlders. This is their war face." And it was. Humanity had not rebuilt clean cities or restarted science. It had become something new. Feral. Creative. Reckless. Unpredictable. Captain Cyrolf received the report. Then silence. Until Steve, back on the tower, raised his Nerf gun to the sky. We survived the fall of Rome, the internet, and 4 versions of reality TV. You think you scare us? This is Tuesday, my guy. One last signal uploaded into the Corellian mothership's network. It was titled Declaration of Resistance, Form 69C. Inside was a single video, a human dancing in flames, singing off-key, wearing a tinfoil crown. The file crashed 3 translation cores. On board, Cyrolf whispered the words he thought he'd never say. "We may need backup." And somewhere below, in the wastes of Earth, Steve loaded another water balloon. The Deathworlders had come. And they were just getting started. The Corellian High Council thought the report was a prank. An official interstellar dispatch warning of uncontainable cultural entropy, bioweaponized memes, and a tribal warlord named Steve had to be a joke. But when 3 survey AI cores suffered logic loop collapse trying to process the footage, they took it seriously. A full Class 2 intervention armada was dispatched. 4 dread spheres. 7 razor moons. 2 psyop singers. Total dominance protocol. Back on Earth, Steve cracked open a bottle of what may have been soda, cough syrup, or industrial solvent. He didn't care. The sun was out. The pigeons were freshly armed. And Darnell had just finished painting their new long-range communications tower, a 30-foot inflatable minion holding an axe made from satellite dishes. "Team morale's peaking," Darnell said, tapping his clipboard. "But Luna's raccoons are getting territorial again." Steve sighed, rubbing his temple. "Tell her they can have the east stairwell, but she's gotta stop weaponizing them with duct tape and chili powder." He glanced skyward. More ships. Bigger ones. Orbit lit up like Christmas, or Judgment Day. It didn't matter which. The aliens were back. Reinforcements this time. Steve grinned. Showtime. 3 razor moons descended into low Atmo, triangular hulls humming with containment shields and plasma curtains. These weren't scouts. These were conquerors. And yet, their scans read no organized military, no governing body, no structured resistance. All they found was Steve, on a rooftop, spinning a pool noodle like a lightsaber while humming the Star Wars theme. Behind him, a wall of human irregulars danced to dubstep remixes of historical speeches. Olga wore a poncho made of tinfoil and carried a sledgehammer marked diplomacy. The Corellians activated planetary comms. A booming voice thundered across the sky. "Surrender. Provide access to your planetary core. Disarm. Comply. Your culture is null." Steve cupped his hands around his mouth. "Yo, you forgot to say please." They responded with a beam of light, clean, blue, sterilizing. It vaporized the rooftop antenna and several pigeons. Steve didn't flinch. "All right," he muttered. "Time to escalate." The team scrambled. Olga slapped emergency stickers on what looked like a leaf blower duct taped to a car battery. Darnell activated Operation Flamingo Stampede. Luna released her raccoons with tactical harnesses, laser pointers, and glitter bombs. Within 10 minutes, the aliens were under siege from 1,000 directions, with absolutely none of them making sense. Scout units were overwhelmed by prank call spam from modified walkie-talkies hidden inside teddy bears. Psychic drones short-circuited trying to decode a chant involving quantum physics, the Teletubbies, and Nicolas Cage. One AI tried to infiltrate Earth's network and was instantly trapped in an infinite loop of TikTok conspiracy theories. "They're not resisting with logic," Pallet V whispered from the bridge. "They're resisting with nonsense. Weaponized randomness. We have no counter for that." The PSYOP singers tried to assert dominance by projecting fear tones directly into human brains. Instead, their fear frequency harmonized perfectly with Luna's dubstep playlist, igniting what became known as the First Wub Rebellion. Humans didn't run, they danced harder. A Razor Moon deployed sub-zero suppression gas over an urban sector. It was countered by a spontaneous barbecue and snowball fight. Even the alien's grav tank was hijacked by a girl on rollerblades who sprayed the interior with silly string and took selfies with the gunner. "They're not following any rules," Captain Cyrolf snapped. "Every time we escalate, they get weirder." Back in the field, Steve stood before a park drop pod. Its door hissed open, revealing a fully armored Corellian elite. 12 feet tall. 4 arms. Plasma halberd in hand. Steve squinted. "Cool cosplay." The elite warrior roared and charged. Steve dodged, tripped, rolled behind a shopping cart, then yanked a cord. Boom. Confetti. Water balloons. An alive chicken named Karen launched into the air, squawking like a banshee. The elite warrior slipped. Hit a banana peel. Tumbled down a slope and crashed into a bounce house labeled Diplomatic Zone. Steve gave a thumbs up. Karen always delivers. Meanwhile, across the globe, similar scenes unfolded. Survivors in Tokyo built a giant robot from vending machines and karaoke speakers. A Canadian faction defeated a scouting party using nothing but poutine, sarcasm, and angry geese. In New Zealand, a retired sheep farmer hacked a weather satellite to play Rick Astley's Never Gonna Give You Up on loop, jamming every Corellian ship within 5,000 kilometers. Panic set in. The aliens weren't losing due to superior force, they were unraveling under cultural collapse. Their systems weren't built to handle paradox. No structure for unpredictable insurgents. No firewall against weaponized absurdity. Inside the mothership, Cyrolf stared at the reports pouring in: tactical trampoline ambush, unicorn stampede simulation. Steve initiated something called Reverse Uno Protocol. He couldn't tell what was real anymore. "Sir," Pallet V said hesitantly, "we're not at war. We're at a meme apocalypse." Cyrolf clenched his mandibles. "I underestimated them. This isn't resistance. It's cultural annihilation." He watched Steve on the main screen, shirtless, holding a foam sword, standing atop a burned-out ice cream truck. Steve looked straight into the camera. "You brought lasers. We brought chaos. We are the Deathworlders. And buddy, you're not ready for what's next." The Galactic Union watched the live stream in horror. Every planet, every outpost, every satellite-connected relay received the same unfiltered footage: a bare-chested human named Steve, standing atop an ice cream truck, shouting into the void with a foam sword and an army of maniacs in makeshift armor. The Death World had not only survived, but had turned madness into a military doctrine. And now, they weren't just fighting back. They were coming. Captain Cyrolf issued a fleet-wide lockdown. Reinforcements had failed. Containment had failed. Logic had failed. The humans were spreading through frequencies, mimetic networks, and unconventional tech like a digital virus. If it weren't physically impossible, he would have sworn they were teleporting by sheer force of will, in memes. "I want them crushed," he hissed to the fleet. "No more restraint. No more analysis. planetary incineration protocol is now in effect. Burn everything. But deep inside Earth's crust, beneath the cratered shells of old megacities and amusement parks, something stirred. Steve knew they would come to erase it all. So he'd prepared, poorly. And by poorly, of course, he meant perfectly, in the most human way possible. In a long-abandoned missile silo that had become his command bunker, Steve addressed his so-called generals, Olga, Darnell, Luna, and an AI named Gerald that lived inside a Furby. "All right, squad," Steve said, pointing to a spaghetti-covered map. "The Corellians are bringing out the nukes. Plasma annihilators. Orbital lightning coils. All of it. So, we counter with the package." Olga leaned forward. "You mean the inflatable banana?" "No," Steve said. "The other package. The one in the ice cream truck." Darnell's eyes widened. "You brought it online?" Steve nodded solemnly. "It's time." A quiet hum filled the bunker. A panel on the back wall slid open, revealing an object no sane galactic government would allow to exist. A karaoke machine. Connected to a reactor. Running Windows XP. Modified with duct tape, solar panels, and an AI named Chad. "Gentlemen," Chad said with a smug robotic voice, "shall I begin the final upload?" Steve grinned. "Chad, crank it." The machine screamed to life, projecting a concentrated beam of sound, memes, and Rick Astley's greatest hits into the stratosphere. Instantly, Corellian ship sensors overloaded. Pilots heard whispers of human jingles from fast food commercials long extinct. Their target locks melted. Their language cores began auto-translating every command into bad dad jokes. Back in orbit, Cyrolth watched in disbelief. "Sir," Pallet V whispered, trembling, "our dreadnought just renamed itself Big Chungus Prime." Another officer reported that their targeting grid now responded only to chicken nugget emojis. "How?" Cyrolth screamed. "They have no infrastructure." That was the thing. They didn't need it. Humanity had collapsed, sure, but its chaos had achieved singularity. Steve had weaponized not strength, not intelligence, but irreverence. The Corellians were structured. Predictable. Linear. Humans? They zigged when they should have zagged, and then set the zig on fire for YouTube views. Cyrolth authorized the final strike, the Planet Crack Lance, a city-sized spear of focused dark plasma designed to drill through a planet's core and implode it from the inside. It descended like divine wrath, screaming toward Earth with light-eating fury. But Steve was already waiting. On the edge of an old launch pad, wearing a cloak made of beer cans and campaign buttons, he stared up at the glowing spear and muttered, "Time for the Uno reverse." The team activated the mechanism. Thousands of weather balloons launched at once, releasing clouds of reflective glitter, laser pointers, and high-frequency bass drops. Satellites made from junkyard parts bounced the mimetic field across the globe, funneling everything through the karaoke machine's core. The lance hit Earth's upper atmosphere. And bounced. It bounced. The feedback loop shattered the Corellian weapons guidance system, redirecting the dark plasma into a stable orbit, around their own command ship. Steve watched it spin. "That's right, boys. You've been rickrolled by physics." But Earth wasn't done yet. From across the world, humans rallied, not to fight conventionally, but to mock the enemy into submission. Children shot water balloons at drones. Grandmothers hacked alien signals to stream soap operas. A guy named Jeff flew a hang glider into a warship's engine vent screaming, "For the LULZ." Even the raccoons, now wearing glow sticks and tiny war paint, overtook an alien supply truck. Chaos wasn't a byproduct. It was strategy. One Corellian dreadnought tried to retreat. Instead, it was grounded by thousands of weather balloons, all painted with anime characters. Another exploded after being hacked by an open-source Raspberry Pi running Skyrim mods. Cyrolth slumped in his command chair. Around him, officers screamed, AI cores melted down, and alarms screamed in meme-encoded binary. One final message blinked across every console. You came to conquer a death world. But you didn't know what was already dead. Palette V fell silent. They've made extinction fun. Cyrulf could only whisper, it's not war. It's performance art. Back on Earth, Steve raised his arms to the night sky. The clouds above parted. Fireworks, improvised from confiscated alien fuel cells, exploded into pixelated faces, slogans, and Steve's own poorly drawn portrait with the words, "Not today, Squid Boys." The humans danced beneath it all. Filthy. Laughing. Unbroken. The Deathworlders had arrived. And the galaxy had no idea how to stop them.